film can reach millions of people, but theater is different. It's human contact. There's a human being in front of you looking at you, and you're looking at another human being.
They literally have to use gestures. For example, you to show a flower,
Yes.
they need a gesture.
So we have broad ideas of how this culture is and how this person is, and it's not good. If you try to be perfect, you're never going to achieve anything because you're never going to be perfect. It's impossible. If the line was, "What are you talking about?" If it was theater, you'd go, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
If it was, and then if you're doing film, you have to imagine that the person is right here.
Namaste, and thank you so much for that wonderful session. You know, every cell of your body is still dancing. I just wanted to witness the whole session workshop as a teacher. We want to actually instruct on students and prepare them, but I couldn't control myself. I just come and dance. You did a great job, and I should definitely start with giving you a greatest appreciation. Thank you so much, Vasthy.
Thank you. And you dancing with us was one of my favorite parts of the class.
Yeah, you actually inspired us to dance. We always on the teaching side, and it was a stress buster. And also, such activities actually enhances their skills also.
Yes.
That ice-breaking process you did at the beginning, actually that was awesome. There is a lot of things that as a teacher I learned from you.
Oh, thank you.
We always start with always the best things in life. And I would like to hear about your best theater experience.
Yes, my favorite theater experience was when I did a SpongeBob SquarePants musical.
Right.
So usually everything is very, theater is very serious sometimes. Even when it's like comedy, everything is very like structured, which is good. It's the only way to get it going. But with SpongeBob, there was a lot of like silliness and play that I really, really loved. And so I got to be my full self because I'm a comedian as well, like I do comedy. So getting to be able to make people laugh, and they let us put our own input in the show. They let us improv and things like that. So it was just so much fun. I loved it. And a lot of kids liked it, and I love kids, so.
Dealing with the kids, you need a little skill actually. You can actually, that's a different language.
It really is.
It's a different language, and yes.
Because if kids don't like you,
Yes.
They don't fake it.
No, the others, make them like, they have no option. Like, exactly.
Yes.
Right. You were actually dealing with students who are into Indian classical dance, where, they have parameters, and they have so much of restrictions, and they literally have to use gestures. For example, you to show a flower,
Yes.
they need a gesture.
Yes.
You understand? And you worked with them without any gestures, but, working on that emotion as a dancer.
Yes.
And yeah, you're from AMDA. So can you explain your experience, like how dealing with students who are different from your genre?
So how it was different?
What was your experience? Because they were inside the box. That we put them in the box because that was the way of narration they get trained. But you have to bring them out of the box to get into that kind of genre. So what was your experience of it?
It was actually easier. Maybe now that I'm understanding the way that traditional dance is, it's very expressive.
Not expressive, but
very literal to...
For example, I say that I show a flower. I need a gesture to show flower, right? I said, you come. I'm using a gesture. But for you, there was no gestures. You have to make them do something without gestures, but work on their emotions, acting skills.
Yes.
So how was that experience?
I thought it was easy. I think that somehow that made it easier for them because like I don't teach to counts, I teach to lyrics. So maybe that's why they picked it up so beautifully. Because I mean, sometimes I'll count, but mostly I'll say the words because I want them to act to the words and not just do like the numbers and the counts. And now you stand here, now you stand there. I'm like, so then it says love thy neighbor. So then you point because you love somebody. So like, I feel like that made it actually, it didn't feel hard to me to do that with them.
They like poke your neighbor,
Yes,
that's a different expression. Poke, and they were really enjoying that actually.
Okay.
There was an interaction between the dancers as well.
Yes.
What do you really think the future of the theater is? It's more academics, and also now though in performing arts it's getting very, very vibrant in all the universities, dance, music, theater. according to what is the future of that actually?
I think that there's going to be, I think there was like a dip and then like it always goes like this. Like everything does. And I think there's going to be resurgence of theater for the younger generations. Now that there's all these movies that are coming out, like the movie Wicked just came out and other movies like that are inspiring them to be interested in theater. And I think that we think that they're glued to their phones, but I think as time gets on, I think they're going to be more like pushing away from it. I really do, because I think we need connection. And film is great because film can reach millions of people, but theater is different. It's human contact. There's a human being in front of you looking at you, and you're looking at another human being. And I think that's what's missing right now in the world is connection and empathy and understanding. We're all just looking at each other on screens. And so we have broad ideas of how this culture is and how this person is, and it's not good. And I think theater is good because it breaks down those walls and you see a real human that's with a heartbeat, just that's there. Does that make sense? Definitely, and I think they know that that's what's missing right now.
Exactly. And also there is a lot of homework behind. And as an individual, you're learning some discipline. You're getting into a stream where you have to follow certain disciplines that actually elevates the quality of your life too.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
And I really like 2 points what you said them today. You asked them whether are you really worried that what people are thinking about you? No, don't worry. They're busy themselves thinking like what others are thinking about them. You just dance. I really love that point. It was great listening to you that also. Actually.
Thank you.
A choreography means manifestation.
Oh,
it is manifestation, right?
Yes,
it just comes out with what is there in the consciousness.
Yes, yes.
Do you think your life experience as a choreographer, the environment, everything actually has influenced the techniques you deliver or your kind of style of choreography? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Wait, ask me the question one more time. Like, what is it?
Like, it's like a mother carrying a baby, like 9-10 months, you hope literally for that baby, what is good for her, good thoughts, listening to music, dance. You are approaching some great show, you're on a work of creating something new. Do you think that every situations in life, everything actually interferes with your creative work?
Yes, I think my environment definitely affects my work. I feel energy a lot. And so when things are like this,
shaky,
I do my best to try to calm the situation.
Exactly?
I know that putting fire to when someone's ready like this doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So I try to, and so when I choreograph or I make things up, or if I'm teaching someone else's choreography even, I think it's a way to take conscious of what's happening in the world and just put it in a way to express it so that you kind of get it out. And does that make sense?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. But what exactly you do to calm you down, motivate you? You motivated all of them. It was nice to see.
Yes.
Not only teaching, you have to motivate your students.
Yes.
That is very important. You have to inspire them. So you have to go to their level to bring them up to your level. You cannot say that I come up. No, that don't make sense.
Yes.
So that is one good thing. And, this is a common question everybody say. What exactly the term contemporary means? We say Indian classical dance and we say contemporary dance style.
Yes.
What is your definition about that contemporary word?
I think contemporary is not a specific, it's a style depending on wherever you are at the moment. Like making something that's classical translate to today. So like taking any form of dance and translating it to February 23rd, whatever today is, 2025, you know what I mean? And it's taking something old, brushing off the old parts and painting it like something else and going, this is new, this is taking that and making it brand new. Right. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Exactly. And I really wanted to listen from you about that history of theatre and how actually it has helped the society in early India. And also, why is this theatre very important now, according to you?
The history is like such an old art form that I think every culture has done a version of. It's it's live. It's getting live performances, skits. And I think every culture has their own version of how their form of that started. Like, I mean, that it's old stuff, you know? And it was a way for human beings to connect and get together and forget about whatever was going on in their life and see this thing. And it's just, it changes over the years. It gets more fancy. It gets more technical. It gets more money, you know, it's changed, but it's still the same element of what it is. And it's meant to connect this side of the audience to the side of the performers. And for the people that are watching it to see themselves on stage and to see themselves, like, right. I know what that feels like. And maybe they come and they can cry or they can laugh. And that's just what his theater has been for a very long time. And I think it is important today, and I kind of said this before, but I think it's important today just for connection. And there's just nothing better than watching somebody express in an art form something that you've been feeling. So if you've been feeling, if you lost a family member close to you, and you've been sad, but you've been keeping it in because you don't want to cry or feel emotion, and then you see a show, and maybe someone on stage is going through that, and you see them struggling, and you see them cry, it gives you permission to just feel all those feelings and just like release that thing. Right. Or if you're sad and you need to laugh, and you sit down and you're like, you're just sad, and you're like, I can laugh now. You know what I mean? It gives you whatever you want it to give you. It gives you, and I think it's very, very important right now for that to happen.
Right. And what are the things actually one should consider to pursue in theater? What was
my inspiration?
Yeah.
Well, I started off as a dancer, and that was my only discipline. All I did was dance, and I loved it. And so I got into AMDA. And what AMDA does is everybody goes in, most people, some people can do more, but most people go in with one discipline. Somebody's like, oh, I can only sing, I can't dance or act. Or someone's like, oh, I can only act, I can't sing or dance. Dancer is the same thing. And, or I can't write, or I can't do this. Everyone thinks they can only do one thing. But all those people in there, when I said, who can sing or act, nobody raised their hands. But what they don't realize in the class, they were acting.
Right.
They were acting to the music. So they were acting. And dancers are very interesting artists because we can do everything, because we follow directions well. Right. And we don't really have, our egos are very like, you know, we're confident, but our egos are here because we're used to listening and paying attention. It's like, stand over there. Okay, I'm going to stand over here. Okay, say this. Okay, I'm going to say this. And that's what you need to learn other art forms. So for me, I started off as a dancer and then fell in love with theater when I went to AMDA and learned how amazing it is to use all of those skills. Right. And yeah, I think that if they went to school for 2 weeks, they'd be like, oh, okay, we could do everything. We can do all of it.
Sort of the confidence.
Yes, yes.
So what is your advice for those students who want to pursue theater? What would be your advice to them?
I think you have to be open to, and it's what I told them in class today.
Openness.
You have to be willing to look bad. You have to be willing, if you're learning to sing, you have to be willing to sound terrible. If you're dancing, you have to know that you're going to fall down. If you're acting, you're going to have to know that sometimes you won't connect to a character. All of those things. And I think as long as you're willing to look terrible and to just throw away perfectionism. I always say perfectionism is the killer of creativity. If you try to be perfect, you're never going to achieve anything because you're never going to be perfect. It's impossible. And that's what I used to do. I used to try to be perfect. I was like, oh, I messed up, then it's not worth doing, or I shouldn't post this thing because it's not perfect. And that's what I'm trying to do when I teach, is teach them that it's okay to not be perfect. It is an impossible, even if your parents push you to perfection, or if a teacher tells you have to be perfect, you kind of have to let that go because it's not going to happen. And when you're open to the possibilities, and when you're willing to fall on your face and fail over and over and over again, anything is possible. I really, truly believe that.
Thank you. And definitely would have watched some Indian theaters.
Oh, I wish I had time. I saw some movies, but I want to see more and more like.
And from the idea of Indian theatre, how
Yes.
do you feel that what is that makes yours different from the Indian theatre?
I don't know much about
that,
Indian
right.
theater. Yeah.
Is a movie and what exactly is the difference between movie acting, the acting in dance and in theatre? Definitely one needs, on stage you have to really exaggerate every moment because you have to reach out to the last audience.
Yes.
But in movie your camera is very close.
Yes.
You have to just be.
Yes.
And in theatre there's certain design to be.
Yes.
Can I have a comment on that? Actually?
Yes. So I remember I had a teacher that said, if you were saying a line, if the line was, "What are you talking about?" If it was theater, you'd go, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
And then if you're doing film, you have to imagine that the person is right here. So you wouldn't do that if somebody was right here. You'd go, "What are you talking about?" So it's the same thing. It's just acting like they're far away or acting like they're right here in front of your face. And it's the same emotion. So it's still "What are you talking about?" as the far away. "What are you talking about?" It's just a little bit more simplified. And in dance, it doesn't change. Dance is big whether you're on film or you're on theater. Right. Dance is always the same. Dancers always have to go to the highest level of energy and expression.
That was great. Yeah, that was great. I could see the whole concept in front of me. Great, Vasthy. And do you believe that the younger generation still prefer watching live theaters? What is the scenario?
There is a resurgence, like in the U.S. at least, of younger people going back to watching live theater. Mm-hmm. And again, I think it's because they know that there's something missing. I think that we have fallen off the track as a society of connection, and we've just gotten used to it. And we're like, this is how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to just be in our own world, but that's not what humans were designed to be. We're designed to be tribes and communities and together. Yeah. And I think that sometimes you have to be younger to see the mistakes. And I think they see them, and like every generation sees the mistakes of the older generation and they try to fix it. And so I talk to a lot of young people and I think they see that. I think they see it and they're like, this isn't working. None of this isn't working. Do you think it's working? It's like, no, they know it's not working. They read history books. They can see it's time for something new, and it's time for time for a new philosophy to get through this life, because the one that's happening is not working.
So great.
Yeah,
true, exactly. And in Alliance, we all believe that is what we are always told also. You should be happy and you should be spreading happiness everywhere. And if it's through arts, it is great.
Yes.
And actually, you today morning, you converted that space to a space of happiness. Thank you so much, Vasthy.
Oh, thank you.
It will be watching you like, how a teacher is not about teaching, but motivating, inspiring. Also, very important, keeping them entertained.
Yes.
It's just not too serious and not too loose.
Yes.
That was a very beautiful proportion you brought in. And, and in performing arts, it is very, very strenuous for them. We try to be very nice, good, maintained. And it was also a learning process for teachers, actually. It was great. It was lovely. And you brought a lot of happiness to Alliance University, actually.
They made me happy too. It was, and I teach that, I teach all over the world. And I don't get to teach that dance a lot because it's very hard and very fast. So, and it was a short time. So they just did, you should be very, very proud of them. That made me so happy.
Lovely.
They're very good. They're so good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We
were our master students, in fact, and the students were from the master program students, Indian classical dance. That was why I was asking.
Oh, okay. Good.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.